Hi guys, hello, my beautiful BGC group.
Problematic because those are the programs that we stick in our head, and we are doing what's happening on the outside. We're playing our mama's program, we're playing our cousin's program when we were 7 years old and said that we were really, really dumb. We're playing the program of our uncle, our auntie. We are playing generational programs that we
Again, still being a work in progress, Amani, but at the end of the day, your first step is to work on loving you. Because once you love you, you come first. And that guilt, it takes a minute to kind of not feel guilty. And I'm speaking from experience here. I still feel guilty when it comes to certain family members, my dad, not even just little things like not answering the phone. I go into almost anxiety, but I had to keep doing it because you call me 50 million times, nothing's wrong. You're okay. And I will stop whatever I'm doing, no matter how important. And now, but they love you, they're going to understand. But at the end of the day, nobody's love matters as much as you for you, period. So you're going to have to work on practicing it, and you gotta have to talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time, like, nope, I'm not gonna feel guilty. He's okay. I need to finish this. This is what I have to do for me. So it all stems back to your self-love, sweetheart. We have to start loving ourselves more than we love everybody else. We have to stop being on the back burner in our own lives.
So, I have been doing a lot of shedding in my life right now. It's I'm after having conversations with you and Tracy, um, on a one-on-one basis, and just over the years and sharing, and going to therapy, and the real people in my life that when you said who do you gravitate towards, and that was like the first people I thought of, my light tribe, those are the people that I gravitate towards. But then I have friends that I once saw a reflection of myself in them, and I don't see that anymore, and it's become obvious to me that they're not healthy for me in terms of they don't really feed any good intuition about myself. So
So I'm gonna start the video. It's a throwback for some of us. I don't know how young people are in the room, but for some of us, this is definitely a throwback to maybe some teen, early 20s. Here we go. Throwback for some people. Hi, Michelle. You remember that song? How old were you? Today, like Lynn and Marizzi talked about already, we're going to be looking at friendship. And it was so interesting when the four of us were in the room, kind of like delving into the topic, because I mean, we went all over the place. And Lynn reminded us that we talked about one question for like an hour. But one of the things that resonated is like we even had different ideas of the definition of friend. Like friend meant some similar things to each one of us, but it also meant vastly different things. So the questions are in the chat that we're going to sort of like use to guide the experience. You can choose one and answer it, of course, or you could just let your idea of friend and what that is to you right now in this particular part of your journey in your life and just speak to it. So I'm just going to read them again so that they're there, and then let's chop it up. Okay. So, who do you gravitate to? Why? When you're looking for loving relationships of the non-sexual nature, is it from a place of love? Is it a place of need, utility, status, safety, some combination, something altogether different from that? What are the implications of the folks that we gravitate towards, right? How does it impact our lives, their lives? And then what of that blurriness, guy codes, girl codes? Consider all those things. Take a moment, breathe in, breathe out, and then chime in. You can drop something in the chat or you can simply unmute yourself.
When I think of like a platonic relationship or like what I want from it, like I feel like it does come from a place of need. I feel like I had like one place to go to for everything, and that would have been like my father, because like we could just talk about anything from boys to college to goals to dreams to the past, everything. And I kind of like lost that. But I do have like a best friend where I kind of get like the same thing as far as someone to talk to about like literally anything, and I appreciate her for that like so much. But at the same time, another reason why like I don't like, I love our friendship, but the I feel like it's also a curse is because like I feel like we don't necessarily like have a need to show up for each other like in a physical way. Like as far as like I know like within her family, like she goes through a lot of turmoil, and like I don't really think to like let me come over and like bring you some food, or I don't know, try to cheer you up in a way. And like even to think about how to show up for people, like I don't really know how to do that. And then but I also don't ask of the same thing. Like when I was like in the hospital, she never came to visit me, but I never held that against her because that's just like that's how our relationship works.
Thanks, Michelle. I see in the chat, I think, Lynn wrote, I believe that people have as much access to you as you give them. I believe your vibe attracts your tribe. And then Marizzi, on the surface, I gravitate toward what I believe are commonalities and values. Deeper, I gravitate to the parts of myself I do not believe are parts of myself, as well as those I have not accepted. Ooh, some shadow stuff going on. I see you. 654, friendship can be a need to connect with those who can be a part of your life.
I wanted to say that I completely agree with Michelle, but I also wanted to say that my ideas of platonic relationships, friendships, is in a state of fluctuation right now. I'm in a state of shifting. So like when Marixie said about having friends that reflect a part of you that you may not necessarily agree with or see yet, I have been doing that for a majority of my life. So I have been surrounding myself with people who kind of amplify the the bad things I see about myself, I guess I would say. And they not only put that on display with their own actions and their friendship towards me, but also they have brought that out of me deeper and how I reflect and see on myself. Now I say that I'm in a state of fluctuation and transformation and shifting because now when I think of a friendship, because I was so blessed to have my best friend who's been guiding me, teaching me, growing with me. Now I would say that my friendships are, I'm choosing my friends out of a space of healing. Out of a space of need, absolutely, but more of a space of need for the betterment of myself, the need to hear the good things about myself so that I know that so even though whatever's happening around me, I know that they're true because this is the same things I also know about myself as well. I also tend to gravitate towards women in any type of mentor friendship relationship, just and older women at that, or like people, not older women, because I don't like to say that, because women, no matter what age, they all look phenomenal, but women who are in a different, I guess, phase in life than I am, they're in a different transformation stage in their lives, and it's where I want to be. So I always gravitate towards the women who are in a space of transformation in themselves to where I'm trying to get to. And that's why I said that my idea of friendship has shifted, and I'm now speaking from a place of healing, because when you have had so much turmoil in your life, which is why I completely agree with Michelle, because sometimes we do forget to show up as friends for the people that matter to us, for the people that we know have our hearts and, you know, really make us remember who we are as people. We forget to show up for them. So I'm learning to find myself and show up for myself so I can then show up for them. And that has not been easy, and it's been all over the place, but I now know that that's what healing looks like. And, you know, so I'm not opposed to the pain of healing, because I've been shrouded in darkness for so long that the healing, even though it hurts, it feels good. So, yeah.
I think that Imani and I don't remember the speaker before her brought up some good ideas that resonated for me. I think my relationships in the past, my friendships specifically, were very circumstantial. It was like, you know, we're together because, you know, we gravitated to each other because we're in the same classes, or you know, we have some things in common, or you know, I see you all the time, so we might as well be friends, kind of thing. But I think at this phase and season in my life, my relationships with people are a lot more intentional. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I've deliberately chosen people for my healing, but I definitely feel like the relationships have to be functional. Like, they have to embrace who I am in this phase of life. And that has meant letting some relationships go. It has, you know, they weren't breakups like, you know, in a romantic relationship, but just the season passed and you just kind of felt it and you just let it be. And you embrace new people. And I think that I'm at a phase now where I can speak to what I need in a friendship directly. Like, I don't think that I was there, you know, in my 20s, the way I am in my 40s. So it's definitely changed over time.
Anybody saw Michelle when she had said, I'd like to get to that level, Imani, and not feel guilty for treating myself first, but I really don't know how to show up for others because I don't know how to show up for myself most times. If anybody wants to speak to that, that would be really awesome. If it's okay, I'll just say Michelle's one of the younger folks in the room. So like that whole part about our intergenerational sort of chatting that we do, it might be really nice to hear from someone a little bit further along in the journey.
I kind of, I'm feeling what everyone's saying, and on that space of not being able to show up for yourself. Sometimes, like, and just from personal experience, the younger Tracy was the give, 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 always there in the middle of the night, and you know, like nonstop. But then as you start to love on yourself and know your worth, and then you come first, then you're being a much better friend because you're being better to yourself. Like, your best friend has to be yourself first. And I'm still a work in progress. I ain't there yet, you know. And I'm in my 40s too, Michelle. But now I know when to you have to start making those what do we call them? I have to set my boundaries. Like, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be there for you, but it also in turn you have to start respecting the fact that everybody can't be there for you either when you need them. They just can't. life is life, and life changes for everybody. And now in this part of my journey, that's what I have to reflect on. Like, I can't put so much focus in, how green your grass is. I got to water mine, and that's just my thing.
Yes. Thank you. This is my first time here. And I wanted to jump in. And I think that Sherry, I think we're probably going to say the exact same thing. At a particular age and stage in life, everything you do is evolved. Hopefully, if you're so blessed and lucky, everything that you do by the time you get into your 40s, that's why it's a very exciting time, has gotten you to a place where you have achieved discernment and you know what you like, you said what you said, and you are so very pleased and happy with it. So I don't necessarily choose friendships for need, but I definitely look at reciprocity. So if I am going to have a friendship, I know now, which it has been evolved because it's a tried and true thing, um, that a friendship where I feel I'm like more of a friend, I'm more of a service, I'm putting on my professional hat every time we get on the phone, those are not the kind of friendships that I want. Friendships financially that are um, one-sided, I don't have to feel bad. I don't have to feel bad about wanting to be able to go on vacation with someone who has the same sort of financial organization and structure as I am. It just makes for more pleasure. But I had to learn that because at first, when I was in my 20s, it was like, okay, I'll hook you up, I'll help you out. And then the only thing that would end up happening, we would have half of the fun. So I've gotten to a place where I don't want to be just like taking from people. Um, I also know my own worth. I know what I'm bringing to the table. So it's not just like, what y'all got? Can I eat? I'm hungry. It's like, hey, I got this. What do you have? And that's how I'm loving life and relationships now.
Only because
Thank
as we were talking about this, one of the things that came up with the generational, some of it cultural, is that up the uplift piece that's kind of like embedded in, well, my family's from Haiti. So, and then that's one layer. I'm Black American. That's a second layer. And then there's the identity around, you come up, you have to bring others up with you. But the challenge that has existed when that's the first like dynamic that you enter the world in, and it definitely creates some challenges with boundaries around what you how you can build yourself for you to stand before you can help somebody else, because then both people are crawling, and neither person. And I think that's it can be a predetermining factor for codependent friendships that I have developed an affinity to, because it's come through that part. So yes, like I think part of it is generational, but I also think some of it is like cultural, as well as like what I identify with, those nuances and how they all intertwine. So
This is my second time with the group, and I was really excited that we were having this tonight. And it's funny because I've been thinking a lot about values and what are my values and how those reflect in my relationships, and how I have this habit of like hiding parts of myself so that I'm attracting people that they actually don't really share my values, because I'm trying to mold to their values versus being more grounded in my values. And so I really liked what Imani said about like the process of
being a friend to yourself and getting to know yourself. And and there were other people who mentioned this too, like I think Kimberly, when you know what, like who you are, what you like, what your interests are, I think the more I do that, the more I keep gravitating. And I could even say that with Marizzi. And I feel like, you know, she's a friend where we, it's also like what, and I liked what Michelle said about like, you have these best friends that it's like you come in and out and you understand that that's just like the flow of life. But then when you come back, it's like it was meant to be because you're gravitating on something that is healing. And so I just feel that I appreciate this conversation because I feel lucky. You know, I feel lucky to have those people in my life. Um, but I'm right now I really am trying to think about how I could be a better friend and just be more consistent, I would say, and work on communication.
So when I go through, like right now, I'm going through like a identity phase crisis. I don't know what you ever want to call it, but it's basically me trying to figure out what do I really need for myself to stand alone, even with or without friends. And my grandmother always told me that, like, my grandmother is from the British Virgin Islands. She's a Caribbean woman. She grew up in the British Virgin Islands with her mother and her father. So she has very strict values, and just like I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to, they have a certain opinion about how you should live your life. So her drop of knowledge that I've always stuck to was basically you should be able to stand alone with no one, to look into the left, to the right, in front of you, beside you, behind you. You should be able to stand in your own feet and on your own body and be okay. And I've learned that people will take you from that, take you from yourself. And I have gotten very far from myself. And I think about the times of even going back to when I was in school with Miss Michelle. And we had wonderful times walking those halls in Baldwin. And I felt like I was at my most emotionally healthy because I was supported and surrounded by people who understood the balance of life and the real reality of what life brings to you. Then you get into adult life and you're like, well, this is interesting. But this is not the same exact, this is not what I knew to be true. And, so I'm really particularly excited to talk about the kinship part of it, because for me, that's where a lot of my issues stem from. It's not from other people. The other people don't matter. It's my family. My family has taken parts of me and made them a whole different part of someone else. And I'm like, who is this? And you have to look at yourself. And that's when, you guys told me to do the mirror exercise. That's what it feels like. I'm looking at myself and I'm asking, who are you? How are you? How are you doing? Like, what do you need? Not what everyone else needs, but what do you need? And so I have found a lot of self-healing in finding my own people. So I guess my question is, but through that self-healing, you always feel this, I don't want to say guilt. It is probably guilt and shame around letting go family members to be able to say, I need time to stand on my own, to be able to be okay with it myself, to deal with you and not feel like you are the problem, or you're the situation, or you're in the wrong for saying to them that you have to be on your own, and they don't get it. And so that's my question. I just wanted to know, how do you deal with that guilt and shame? Like, when do you let that go and say, this is still for me?
Because you can't expect to be a priority if you're not a priority to yourself. I always tell my son, he's doing very well and he's gone 360 and he's elevating and he has awoken so much, and I'm very proud of him. But he gets frustrated because those group of people that was ride or die that you take to the top with you, as you was talking about, Marizzi, it's kind of, I have to tell him all the time, like at the end of the day, as you elevate, some people can't elevate with you. Because if they're content with where they are, you can't let them keep you on the level that they are. So you keep working on your self-healing and you keep elevating, doing the things that you want to do for you. And the guilt will slowly but surely get easier and easier. Now when my dad calls, I don't feel, I'm like, no, I'll talk to even my auntie, and everybody knows how close I am with my auntie. They know me, and I don't miss a call. Now it's like, I have to call her back because she's gonna be on the phone for about 5 hours. You know, I love her to pieces, Shamir. You know who I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, the guilt starts, and Stephanie will tell y'all, I would be almost in tears, and I mean straight anxiety, because I'm just like, something could be wrong. He could need me, and every time he's been fine. And so you have to work on, okay, I gotta do me first. I have to do what I need to do for me. Period.
Thank you, Miss Tracy.
You're welcome, my love.
Before we transition into Cherie, I just wanted to lift up what Tyler dropped in the chat. Some people responded to it, but I want to make sure everybody heard it. She had said she was thinking a lot about boundaries, not just what or who I let in, but what I'm letting out, and how I mismanage what I pour out, just reevaluating what I should be saving for myself.
I wanted to also add that guilt is sometimes the emotion that we go to when we don't know what else to do. And in that way, it kind of doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the people that you are feeling the guilt for. And then what happens is you're just like wasting, or you're expending energy that you could actually be using to find out what you can love more about yourself. I have a question for you, Imani. What if everything about you right here, right now is perfect? It's whole, it's complete. What if you are supposed to be exactly where you are right now? Like, what if there's nothing for you to do? Like, this is exactly how you should be. In fact, there's an Imani in you that already sees the Imani that she wants to be when she's 47, my age, and 50. And guess what, Imani? You are already on that way. What if that was happening? So just put the hammer down, relax a little bit, look in places where you can express more love for yourself. Tracy, we always talking to ourselves. Don't apologize for that. It is a constant thing. When we are not aware that we're talking to ourselves, that's when it gets problematic. Right? You know, like, I can't cross that street. I'm Black. Like, we're playing these things in our head. So find a practice where you can say, hey, what about that? Question more. Why did I just think that? Oh, was that my auntie saying that? I wonder why she says that. Maybe it's because she can hurt. And instead of guilt, you can offer her empathy, compassion, and a little bit more love. That's it.
This is so juicy and so yummy, and I'm just like, oh, y'all going off.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to pause the conversation. It's been so rich so far, but all right, so tonight we continue our exploration of love as it relates to our platonic and non-sexual relationships. We dived into why we choose certain friendships and what qualities in others we naturally gravitate to. We pondered about what needs our friendships serve at different seasons in our lives and how these relationships constrict, and contribute to who we are. We shared some expectations and unspoken agreements, and we also shared the emotions and feelings that come up when establishing boundaries and letting some relationships go. Now it's time to transition all of this reflection into some writing. So if you've been here before, and for our first timers, you know that we love our 5-minute prompt. So in the next 5 minutes, we will respond, reject, question, embrace, or some combination of these things. What comes to mind when you ponder this question? What about your friends?
Who felt that? 'Cause I felt that. I felt that when I was writing. Tracy, I see a hand. Kim, I see a hand. Yeah, thank y'all for that.
I heard everybody talking loud in my mind, and in that moment, I cared. So I started hiding. I could have went to my friends, but my emotions I was denying. Some cared, and for some, I wasn't even on their radar. But that's okay because I really didn't want them to see me crying.
What about your friends? What about your you? Can a friend actually let me down? I guess if I let them.
Always how to have good friends, never how to be one.
And friend, you know my hurts because we are that transparent, not because we accidentally tripped over boundaries never set.
My friends reflect back to me how much space I have for love.
Years go by, my journey shifts, and so does my friendships. Many leaves blown in the wind, bare tree with a few roots, but it only takes one root to spark life.
When I was perfectly myself this whole time, constant jealousy, deceit, and lies to try to disguise me from me, who I could really be.
Friend, kin, special kin, skin.
We always battle with this word friend, but I learned long ago in order to have a friend, I had to understand the concept of the word friend.
Still, sit still, feel each program, reprogram. It hurts. Lessons, growth, grow. It feels good. Stay a while. Are we vibrating higher?
These years, I still feel insecure about this relationship.
I need you, friend, not because I can't be alone. I'm real good by myself, but because you add seasoning to my existence. We thank you for being here with us.
Kim, can you please stop dropping your naked goddess yoga? Because Lord have all the mercy. That has been such a huge part of my journey. Ooh, baby.
Yes, all the cameras are off except for mine, so it's more like a webinar situation. I will have classes in the future where there will be mandatory all cameras off. It's either all cameras off or all cameras on. But most of my classes were in person, and I'm still like transitioning them online. So for now, all the cameras will be off. It's just me, so no one will see your nakedness. This has been amazing, by the way, Stephanie. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for having me here. I love the opportunity to have a space with other women of color to write. This is just so amazing. Thank you.
Breathe in what you need. Let go of what you don't.
Miss Kimberly, you just like knocked my socks off with that question because it's all I've been thinking about since she asked it. But you guys are truly inspiring and amazing in your own ways. I just can't wait to see what great things you guys do next.
And you.
Stop it. You've been saying that forever. Stop.
And you. Beautiful, beautiful queen goddesses. This was scrumptious. Yeah. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night, everybody.